Hello. Anyway, look, I'm just coming at it with a little short, I'll try to keep it real short, mini podcast because I'm not even going to get into the ceasefire arrangement in Iran right now. I don't even know who they're supposedly meeting with. I mean, that's my first thought there is just like, wait a minute, I thought the plan was to, give them the best chance of regime change after the bombs stop. Didn't require, who are you even negotiating with and normalizing on their end? Aren't that the same regime that just hung the young athletes and that you're dealing with a track record with negotiations? And didn't they just change it again that they're going to open up the strait now after the negotiations when you specifically said it was a prerequisite for the 2-week ceasefire? Let alone you're coming up on the 60 days where no one gives a crap about it. But I will remind you, technically after 60 days, you for sure would need congressional authorization to continue. You will want nothing to do with it, blah, 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 blah. So you got about 20 days left to wrap up whatever. But it just seems to me, listen, I'm all for peace. It's not that. But it does seem, if I thought it was good to see you retract a little bit on the you were surprised to hear that they're charging $1 to $2 million per ship and shaking them down in the Strait of Hormuz. So, and they're mining the other side of it. And you can't, I don't know. If traffic ever went back to 130 to 140 ships on their current plan and that they want, or the Iranian media is saying they want, that would be more than 2 billion. That would be like 2 billion a week. Or if you split it, 1 billion a week to that extent. So anyway, I'm going to stay out of all that. But I do notice then there's this other skirmish happening, right? I call it a separate convoy in Lebanon. And listen, I understand Hezbollah is definitely a problem for a while. Probably the biggest threat in terms of imminent. But wait a minute, to that end, you just blew up more civilians blowing up other Hezbollah people. Then the leader of that country said, hey, let's meet. And that's positive. There's way more potential upside for that, right? Than there is if you didn't do that. But as a prerequisite, because you're also blowing up civilians, and you do know that, he said, do a ceasefire. Look, no, I won't meet until you agree you won't do any more of that until we meet. Now, there is simultaneously, right, in another conflict you're actively involved with, some form of ceasefire, even though I really can't speak to that. A couple red flags, but yet, a matter of factly, the 10 points can't be what they keep reporting. Even though Trump said that, he's saying, that wouldn't, whatever is going to shake out with that, what I am saying is, why wouldn't, after the president of the United States said has specifically requested you low-key it, right? Now you have, it's not even an off-ramp. That's a huge potential. Wait a minute, I don't actually recall even one day where Israel and Lebanon had any kind of normalized relations or weren't in some kind. So that, you would be thrilled, especially when these other people are using that conflict and that you won't stop doing that as a pretense to say there's no ceasefire even in Iran. So for all those reasons, wouldn't you just agree, take 2 seconds to not be a stiff neck and say, you're right, we did just blow up many of your civilians to get the Hezbollah targets. Of course you want a meeting to talk about it. Of course it makes sense that we would have to agree, all right, we won't do that before talking. It's not very far away where you could meet or, wouldn't take very long to do a FaceTime or something at least. The Lord is peace, right? You have way more, whatever, even within the stated goal of dealing with Hezbollah is way more of an upside to meet. That's a positive, but it also takes away the talking point of these people in Iran saying that you won't do. You should be thrilled to announce, look, because of this and because of what the leader of Lebanon, that's why we're going to do a ceasefire until we talk. And then you would take away both, but I don't know, certain people who are picking targets, or is it Qatari / Iranian owned, then you didn't run it by Trump first. Some of the targets and some of the decision making seems very escalatory. And so I can only say from the bottom of my heart, do the ceasefire for no other reason than to try to secure something with the leader of Lebanon to deal with Hezbollah, while Trump and yourselves are also doing something in Iran. And currently there's some form of a ceasefire, even though it was predicated on opening up the strait and they haven't done it, blah, 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 blah. But I mean, what is anyone doing here if you don't understand, like, that's an imminent decision. You would stop doing that in Lebanon until you talk to that person. You do know that. Why wouldn't you just do that? You have no good answer. Oh no, we need to bomb again today instead of like a week. You're lying through your teeth. The Lord is peace. Please do the right thing.